What's good, everybody? This is Y and Z conversation between the generations. Which generation? It's all in the equation. Generation Y, aka the millennials, represented by yours truly, Jay Clark, which we discover every week, one of the greatest generations to cross this earth. On the other side, we got Gen Z, represented by the
What's
younger
that?
Savian Lewis, Savian Dingley.
Shuck it, duck it, quack, quack.
How you doing this week, my brother? How's
Hey
life
man,
treating
I'm amazing, man. Getting into some gonna be doing some spring cleaning later on today, grown people stuff.
I fertilized the yard this week, gotta get some mulch down.
Man, that weather is getting back to a nice spot. I'm loving it, Of course, have a little couple pop-up storms here and there, but other than that, man, that weather has been beautiful. Hasn't been too hot, hasn't been, and then it gets a little chilly at night. I mean,
Right,
we're right in the sweet
right
spot.
in that pocket towards like, yes, it's cool in the morning. I'll take off later in the afternoon. I'm not cooking in the
Yes,
afternoon yet. I can feel
you're
the
not
heat.
cooking yet.
I'm not cooking. It's that
You
small
like
window.
high 70s, low 80s.
We don't even need to get to that eight. Just stay in the 70s, the 70s, and we
It's beautiful.
okay.
It's
It's that
beautiful.
small window trying to enjoy before, yeah.
That's why I say, let me do the
That
spring
fire.
cleaning this week while I can bear it.
Yeah, that fire is coming, and in more ways than one. But anywho, like, share, subscribe. We appreciate you for any time you decide to join us for this conversation. And we're gonna have an interesting one this week because we like to talk about the differences between the generations and how we experience life. And we got a good one today because Business Insider
Wait,
dropped an article, and the
she
title
snapped with this. She
was
snapped with this.
simply "The Ghosted Generation," with the tagline "From college to dating. No one in history has been rejected more than Gen Z." And so I was like, yo, let me ask my Gen Z brother here. What did it hit home for you? Did you ouch? Was the how you feeling? Just
Let me. So this is one of those articles where I had to look at it from the lens of the generation and not just from my lens personally.
link
Because
in the bio.
personally,
Sorry, link in
I'm
the bio. Yeah,
different.
link in the bio. There we go. But yeah, we know
Just
you
trying to
different.
put that out there
We know you different.
because I'm gonna be honest. Honestly, sometimes I be having to remind myself to try because even in moments where I didn't try, I still got it. If that makes sense. So that's just I'm a special person. But thinking in the mind of the generation and listening to my peers and listening to other individuals that have been around me, everything this article touched on, they've experienced. And while it hasn't been my thing, it's hitting home for a lot of my generation. Like rejection in relationships, that happens a lot. Job rejection, I don't even think that's just something about our generation. I think that's just something about the times.
Well,
Because no matter what generation you're in,
it's a
you're experiencing that right now heavily.
it's a bit of both. And I think one of the prime distinctions is you guys have grown up essentially, or you guys have only existed in this world with this high potential for rejection. Because one of the first things that came to mind for me was, as it mentioned, college. So we'll get to the dating in a second. But like
Yeah, yeah.
but like even the dating, like everybody who's dating now, regardless of generation, is facing that. But you guys are the only ones who grew up in this world where like this was the
The
way.
norm.
So like for example, I think of college applications. I'm sure you did yours online, right?
Right.
And this does show you how far it's changed. When I was graduating high school, it wasn't online applications. Like in fact, I can make the claim. Here I am sitting with the BA and an MBA. I've only truly ever applied to two schools.
Oh,
And I
wow.
got into both of those because in high school, because we had to essentially give our physical packets to the office to then send out to the schools because with like teacher recs, we didn't get the teacher rec.
Right.
They would take your application and put the teacher recommendations with it and then mail it off for you. So, long story short, which we'll probably get into another day,
Right.
none of my colleges ever received my applications. I was able to get into college. We'll talk about that another day. But you think about it, your ability to fill out applications online, taking out the money aspect, because that hasn't really changed, the cost per application, you're able to Fire out
Oh,
as many
I
as you
mean, but
want.
even the money app, even the money side of it. Have you ever heard of the man, I used to hate it when I was in recruiting, only because it wouldn't come over to our systems well, and every black person loved it. The black it was like the black general black application or
Oh,
something
it's one
like
of those
that,
things where like you pay the one fee and it'll send
and
out your
it'll
app
send it
to
like to
all. Yeah,
50 colleges.
yeah, yeah.
Hated it. Okay, from one side, I was like, oh, this is super good. You pay a one-time fee and you fill out all this information and they just send it to like 50 schools. Oh, this sounds amazing. Then I got on the recruitment side and I was like, I hate this. I don't like it because it just didn't pull over well to anybody's systems. Um,
But that opens you up. That let's just say, because yeah, my physical ability and being able to write out these apps, write out these as maybe print
yeah.
whatever, it was a combination of both. But that physical limitation of how many could I mail and versus your
Common black application. Bam, I
you
found
could
it.
do anybody. Yeah, you're opening yourself up to more rejections just based off the ability and the capacity that you're able to apply for.
Yeah, I will say that. I think one thing that has been taught to my generation, because it's just what the norm was for us coming into all of this stuff, was if you broaden your field, this is what I mean, this is just what we were taught. Broaden your field, throw out as many arrows as you can, see how many will stick. It was never pick up arrow one by one, put your best into that one, and see if it sticks. No, we're going to pick up a handful of them. We're just going to throw them with
Quantity,
all of your might and
quantity over
see what
quality. Yeah,
sticks.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
then theoretically would say that, okay, you're going to have a higher rate of rejection because, let's be honest, they're teaching us to be a master of all trades. I mean, a jack of all trades, but not necessarily a master of any.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily that aspect. I think it's the aspect of all you need in a lot of these areas, jobs, colleges, spousing data. All you need is one. You don't need every college to say yes. You don't need every
Right.
job to say yes. You don't need every interest to say yes. All you need is one. That has never changed. All you've
No.
ever needed throughout history is the one. What it is now is y'all have more opportunities to gain that one. So versus there were only 10 roads for us to go down. Okay, cool. That's 10 times out of rejection. I only need one to say yes. That's a 10% success rate. Cool. 90% failure. Great.
Right.
Your generation, on the other hand, is not like, okay, we got 100 roads. You still only need the one. But now that's a 1% success rate and a 99 possible percent failure rate if you only get the one. Yeah,
Right.
the level of rejection that you guys are now open to is wild. Because yeah, it is that yeah, the amount of rejection that's possible out there for you. And think about it from you know, followers. You know how many people may or may not be following you on a social media account. So that's rejection if you choose not to follow me. How many accounts do you have? How many jobs are
Right.
you applying?
Right.
How many times are you swiping right or left on Tinder or whatever dating app there is? How many though? Like it keeps multiplying to where it's like,
And
yeah,
then let's think about this. The world that we were accustomed to, we were taught that, oh, not all rejection is personal. Some of these rejections are built in through the technology
yeah,
itself.
simply, yeah.
That was one of the hardest things to try to wrap my head around too. It's like, hold up, you're telling me that I've been rejected. Let's be real. Let's just be real. I've been rejected because I answered truthfully that I'm black because they reached their quota for black people.
Well, here's the problem with your generation is, yeah, you don't have no idea, and you've never known in any
Oh
generation
no.
whether that rejection was personal or not. Sometimes there's context clues, but the fact that so much of your rejection is literally being done from a screen, from a faceless,
Oh,
nameless
that's a
person,
disheartening place.
you have no idea. And like you said, yeah, it's simply some of these systems are built in for the rejection, but yeah, you have no idea
Nope. It
which.
leaves so much, and I think this is what leads to increased anxiety and increased worry within my generation because there are just a bunch of unknowns. If okay, I got rejected, but they're not telling me why. I at least want to know why I got rejected. All of these different things because this society nowadays is like, oh, nobody owes you an answer. If you get told no, you get rejected. That's it. And so that just increases that level of anxiety and for some people, depression, all this kind of stuff, because you're just trying to find answers to questions that won't get answered.
Here's a portion I want to just read out. Link is in the bio if you want to read out the whole article, but there's this one
It's a
portion.
good article.
It's but there's another superlative, one exacerbating all that stress, anxiety, loneliness, and burnout that's so far been overlooked by several measures. Gen Z actually may be the most rejected generation in human history. Every cohort believes it has drawn the shortest stand. It makes the parents just don't understand from Will Smith generalization. But as Gen Zers strain to establish themselves, they face a uniquely fraught tension between unprecedented technology enabled opportunity, aka infinite possibilities just a click, swipe, or DM away, and that unprecedented scale of rejection. Never before have young adults had this much access to prospective yeses. The world is at your fingertips, but it's not meant for you. And I think that's the
Right.
biggest things we have ever like you guys have grown up literally. The world is at your fingertips.
Look, but bam, bam, you just hit it on the head because I was trying to figure out what truly is the difference between what is the true thing that sets us apart from other generation is exactly what you just said. The world is at our fingertips. Before you had an understanding that if certain opportunities came your way, it must have been for you because it wasn't ever at your fingertips. It had to work. You had to work your way towards it. You had to make progressive and gradual steps to get there. Nowadays, you don't have to. It's at your fingertips at start. So you feel like everything, well, we feel like everything is for us. Not really. And the only reason, and it's almost like we have to go through a process of elimination of what is and isn't for us. We have to go through a whole list of rejection to be like, you know what? Never mind. I can't do that. Can't do that. Can't do that. But this is after so many tries and so many tries and so many tries. But I do think that definitely is what kind of sets my generation apart. Is through technology, the world has been placed at our fingertips
And
for good and for bad.
you have no idea who you're competing with because at least you are competing with the world. What comes to mind is a saying my father used when I transferred from the small college I was at to Howard at first. He was like, "All right, you was the man and you was the big fish in a small pond.
Yeah.
You're heading to a bigger pond now. Can will you still be the same size fish? Will you be a bigger fish, or will you just be in that pond?" Nowadays, you guys aren't even getting the small pond chance in some of these things. You're literally it's big pond because no longer are we being limited by demographics in terms of like geography. Like all these things would be limited. Like, oh yeah, the odds are so much bigger because it's not just
Yes.
oh, it's just me and the people in my local area going for this job. Let's just call it maybe that's 1 in 25. Now it's oh, me and anybody in this area who can know this acknowledgement because it's being posted online. So now my odds are like one, and who knows how. Like, yeah,
Right.
like y'all, it's so the deck as we have discovered throughout many conversations.
And a little side
It's
note, just
stacked.
in case we do have a younger audience, you're getting ready to figure out like where you want to go to school. I'm a strong advocate for community college, by the way. I think if you feel like that's what you want to do, I technically I went to community college and didn't go to community college at the same time. My last 2 years of high school was community college, and I felt like that really prepared me for the university I went to. I'm a strong advocate for it. Cheaper, better option. Just depends on what you might want to do when you actually get to your university as far as like extracurricular activities that might factor into that. But I'm a strong advocate for community colleges, by the way.
It's Y and Z conversation between the generations. We're talking this week about how Gen Z is the most rejected generation ever. And I'm curious. I feel like I saw it in the article, but maybe I didn't. But one of the things that stuck out to me in that portion we were just talking about is how yes, you have never had this much access to prospective yeses. And I want to know how much is that is disabling you? Because what we know about your generation is I don't want this stress. I don't want to make decisions or choices. And part of it is yes, we know you are over abundant with choices to the fact that you're paralyzed and actually even stepping out for the chance to get rejected.
Yeah, I mean, I think like we was just saying before, the idea of perspective yeses. I think one thing that does it boosts ego really badly. That's why I think many Gen Zers have the big head because we're like, oh, look, I could get this opportunity, this opportunity, this opportunity. Not realizing the ugly monster that's behind the door, but because the door is there, it's a prospective yes, not realizing the rejection that's going to come alongside it. So I think it does very badly to boost, ego and all that kind of stuff. I think the good part about prospective yeses is that it keeps us it keeps us in the mindset that okay, if this doesn't work out, maybe I have a backup plan, a backup plan, a backup plan. You know, all these different kind of backup plans. And even in that sense, I think that's why you see entrepreneurship heavy with Gen Zers. You know, having being the most trying to be, you know, most entrepreneurial generation in the sense that, you know, most Gen Zers are here we go. If we gonna call it how it is, we gonna call a spade a spade. Streamers, if you are a streamer, that is being an entrepreneur. You know, if you are having your social media basis be your sole source of income,
Hmm.
that is an entrepreneurial mindset. You know, and while we could debate all day about, oh, that isn't a real job, you know, it's a source of income, and I don't even care anymore. If that's your source of income, you might as well call it your job. But you know, I think it just factors into all of these different kind of things with all of these prospective yeses that could potentially, you know, be happening.
This line just jumped at me, and it's specifically talking about relationships. So if you want to go this route, we can. But
Let's go.
it says, there's the resilience that comes from the frequent rejection that makes them great at moving on. But then they're less equipped for the real world rational challenges that require compromise and patience. Y'all
Oh, we
can't
could talk all day about this.
Y'all can't do it. Because literally it's saying y'all are so quick to the minute someone
Move.
steps out your box, steps outside what you think it should be, or even detecting the hint that that rejection, yeah, y'all are like, okay, peace out. And it's like, yeah, you can't do that in every situation.
No, not at all. I think one thing that it's the right balance of things grabbed from other generations. And I think my generation needs to catch a hold to that before other generations just start rejecting us completely.
Oh, you're
I
rejecting.
think we need to grab along to what the baby boomers had. Because let's be real. The reason why the baby boomers were married for so long was not because everything was perfect. It's just because they wasn't going nowhere.
I mean, you wasn't going nowhere, less choices, less option. That
You
again,
see what
back
I'm
to
saying?
that thing of
It
less
wasn't
roads to go down. If I only got
it,
two roads. And I picked one. I'm gonna stick with that one I'm on just because
right.
I might not want to exhaust this possible last opportunity versus y'all. Another bus. I missed the bus. Don't worry, one is right behind,
Look,
and there's
so
one
it's
behind that,
like
and that,
it's like I missed the bus. All right, I'm gonna catch the sprinter van behind you.
and that's the thing. Y'all like, nah, I don't do buses. I'm gonna go to this line of Sprinter vans. Oh, that one's not good enough. That one's not good enough. That one's not good enough. Y'all done gone down 50 Sprinter vans and then be like, let me go to the buses. No, too many options, too many choices.
And even in that, right, it's like even with the conversation of like red flags, people talk about, oh, that's a red flag. Sorry, I can't do with you. Oh, that's a red flag. You telling me that you don't think that people have had to deal with red flags before, and through patience and through the ability to compromise, you find that sweet spot where that red it don't turn into a green, but it becomes a yellow. You know what I'm saying? This
What's the
whole idea that my generation be so ready to be like, you know what, it's all right.
so what's that rejection do to you?
Ah man, be for real. You know what it does. It it
Well, I'm curious.
in
I know what
mass.
it does.
It's
Nobody likes rejection, but again, and like I said, we are all facing it in certain ways now, especially like okay, the job economy. But I'm curious because I feel like older generations are more better prepped for it because
yes.
you got to get that rejection. It's a growth experience. You got to go through it sometimes. Y'all don't want to
I
go through
think
it. I'm
I think
curious.
it all started. I'm gonna be honest. I think it started. It started with our the littlest of our upbringing. Let me
Y'all,
tell you what. Let me tell
y'all
you what
the
I hated
cruising
growing up.
generation. Y'all the trophy generation. Like
Yes, yes.
everybody gets a
What is a
trophy.
participation award?
Participation. You were here, and so you can't get like, come on now. You ain't
What
never
is a
been picked
participation
by one in a
award?
playground game. That's we was
I
built
used
for
to
rejection.
be livid at a participation award. What? What is that? But so even in that sense, it was always about coddling this generation to be like, up, you're the best, you're amazing. And don't get me wrong, some people are the best and amazing, just maybe not in that area. So we shouldn't give them credit in an area where they are not excelling to be like, oh, you know, you are worthy of recognition. That's how I feel. But I think with the relationships, what the rejection does, it's the same thing is done to other generations. It's just so in mass with our generation. It's causing people to be less social, more in their bubble. It's causing people to be more tunnel vision. It's
Mhm.
causing people to be like, you know what? I experienced this once. You ain't gonna never catch me slipping again. And then they just completely close off to anything remotely beneficial to them
Yep.
because they're so afraid. You know what? The rejection is building a strong sense of fear. That's the simple answer.
It's funny. There's one statement here that says a typical Zoomer on the apps may be getting so you're a Gen Z person. Zoomer. That's the first time I've heard that one. But anyways, a typical Zoomer on the apps may be getting rejected by more prospective partners in a week than a typical boomer has in their entire adult life.
I know it's funny. I love watching the Carmichael show. Gerard Carmichael is hilarious to me. And it was an episode where David Allen Greer, who was playing his dad, he was playing Gerard
Yeah.
Carmichael's dad. It was a Facebook friend episode, and he was so excited to have 50 Facebook friends. And Gerard Carmichael was like, "Why are you excited about having 50 Facebook friends? That's not a lot." He was like, "Man, I haven't had 50 friends in my whole life."
I'm saying it's caused y'all to have some of these bloated expectations when it comes
Yes,
to these things about how many friends you should have or what a certain thing should look like for you or it's all these things because you're seeing it for everybody and then trying to apply it for yourself and
yes.
it's that confluence and at the end of the day y'all just feel rejected when things don't go your way.
Let's keep it in that social media route. You post a video and it only gets about 100 views. Come out of the mindset that, oh, that's so small. Do you feel like you could stand in a room with 100 people and do what you just did on that video? That's the concept of it, right? That 100, if I were to be in a room with 100 people, 10,000 people, 100,000 people, a million people, this is what it would look like. So I think we need to start putting things back into perspective of everything is just very overinflated, very overinflated. If I have, okay, so I host a little small group, right?
Mm-hmm.
In person, I might have like 6 to 8 people. And at first, I was like, oh man, that's a small amount of people. And then I thought about it. Not really. It's supposed to be a small group for a reason. I'm not trying to pack a building out. I want to do like a little small group thing. And so, all of that helps out with just like reminding myself that things are so super overinflated right now. And I just need to keep myself grounded, even though I'm in this generation that's kind of like, oh, nope, boost some numbers up.
Well, it's interesting because they're talking to students and people in your generation in this article. And one of the portions is a 20-year-old talking about her college experience in terms of applying and how they say, she applied to 12 and got rejected from 10 of them. And she states, she's like, I had so much hubris and unfounded confidence. I thought I was going to be someone. And that's an interesting statement because I think regardless of your generation, we all think we're going to be someone or we're striving to
Yeah.
be a thing, a value in our lives. I think the problem is your scope of what you think, quote unquote, someone is again so much larger and so much harder to obtain. Going back to David Allen Greer's character, the thought of having or being able to quantify and see, I have 50 friends is wild versus y'all are like, I'm trying to be, it's like to him that was something. For y'all, it's like I'm trying to be someone, and I know I'm not someone unless I got 1 million followers, two
Right,
million
right.
followers, or I'm pushing into big brand. Like these grand aspirations is what it takes to be someone, and everyone can't get to that level. It's hard to be like
I, okay, I'm gonna tie this in only because I'm a wrestling fan. Y'all know this. Recently, John Cena has turned to be a heel.
you still being affected by this, huh? Because that's like week
Let me
three.
tell you this. Because let me tell you why. Monday night, he cut his first promo as a heel. So he kind of let people into his mindset about the heel turn and everything about the character, right?
Mhm.
John Cena goes up there and he's like, for the last 25 years, I've been the victim. And I'm like, what you mean? Come on, man. You a movie star now. You got all this money. But he was like, the ability to be able to maintain all of this, you people have pushed me. You have prodded me. I have been your show calf for the last 25 years to the point while, yes, I am successful. I have won, I've won. But even in my winning, you didn't like me. When I wasn't with, all this kind of stuff. So the argument that he was making was, yes, I'm successful, but it has come at the worst toll ever. It's come at my peace of mind. You've treated me like a character and I'm a human. And I don't think my generation gets that. Like I think if we started to understand that, yes, you want all of this responsibility. Because let's be honest, at the end of the day, 1 million followers is responsibility. You now have placed into the hands of 1 million people your future. And you have to live up to their expectations. Because at the drop of a dime, they could all be like, nah, you know what, we ain't rocking with you no more. Or the system could be like, you know what, we don't want to suggest your content anymore.
I mean, we saw y'all crying when TikTok was going to go away and was gone for that short period of time. Your generation was crying. Oh,
Heavy, heavy.
heavy crocodile tears.
I mean, had funerals. But I said all that to say, it's just very interesting to see how, we want these things and we want all this fame and we want all this recognition and we want all this attention, but I don't think they're understanding the cost of it all.
As we begin to wrap up here, it says there's two things I want to get into. One is, so it says, as Gen Z grows older, the rejection and the risk they face could easily compound. We've talked about that a little bit. Which means we could end up seeing Gen Z calcify into incredibly risk adverse adults. Y'all are already incredibly risk adverse, and parents. Those who are resilient enough to weather the new standard scale of rejection, aka those who continue to shoot their shots, will eventually gain a firm foothold because often in college, careers, and romance, it's less a matter of perseverance than sometimes it is just luck. And I think that's what it is. All you're looking for is the one. Is the one. And if y'all are having to go, it's so much harder for y'all because all of those damn options. The other part,
It's like what you said earlier. It's like former generations, you might have had to fish in a pond. You might have had to fish in a lake. As a Gen Zer, you're out here fishing in the Gulf of Mexico into the Pacific Ocean.
and seeing all the fish. Here's the thing. We could fish in that lake and you're gonna come up with something. Your generation is in the Gulf, seeing hordes and hordes of fish, schools of fish. You're seeing other people successfully catch what they look, and
Yes.
y'all are like, ain't nothing biting my line. And you're seeing it all play out in front of you. It also poses a question about how will this reverberate through society as y'all eventually, not anytime soon, hopefully, eventually get to that point where y'all are the ones with the power and the economy and stuff like that, and what that's going to mean when the rejected become the rejectors and what that's going to do for you. I have no idea as we get down the road, but it's going to be interesting to see play out because, yeah, y'all are risk adverse. Y'all are like, I'm just going to stay in this bubble because God
We'll
forbid
be honest.
I could stub my toe if I step outside instead of looking at it as if I step outside, I could accomplish A, B, and C and have the chance to. Y'all are just like, nope, nope, nope. I don't want to be
I'm
rejected.
gonna be honest. I'm gonna tell you what I believe it is. What's gonna happen? I think my generation is going to govern one of the softest errors in humanity. Because the only thing on our mind is, oh, we got rejected, 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 and it made us this way, and we want to do whatever we can to make not make another generation go through that much rejection, and that's stupid.
So y'all gonna double down and make things worse, essentially, is what you believe.
It's exactly what's gonna happen. It's exactly what's gonna happen. Because if you had enough common sense right now, you would see that what's happening right now is not good. It's not beneficial. It's not beneficial. But I feel like my stupid generation is just going to be like, you know what? We experienced too much of it. It made us this way. We were secluded. We went through so much anxiety and depression. Not trying to, go against people who do deal with those things naturally. But I think they're just going to foster in such a soft era.
It's the pendulum swinging, and as we see, it's as we've talked about, you're gonna have those who, like yourself, are different. Hand claps to you. But
Hand claps to those
there's
others.
going to be less and less of your type, which is, I guess, what we're calling desired in a way
Right, right,
to satisfy the desires that y'all are going to continue to have going forward. Yeah, it's a downward spiral, and nothing is going. Or I won't say nothing, but the effort to turn it around to go back up. Yeah, y'all don't. Literally, it's a paradox. Y'all not going to want to do the work or want to try and fix things because you could fail and get rejected at that, and therefore it's only going to continue to hamper and make things worse.
right.
Gen Z, I tell you, ooh, we praying for y'all. We praying.
Aren't we all?
It's Y and Z conversation between the generations. Let us know your thoughts about this. Gen Z, the most rejected generation ever, and its impact. Are you one of these rejected Gen Z people? What has that done to you and your psyche? How do you combat it? Do you step out there? Do you get back on the horse? As the old saying goes, if you fall on a horse, you just gotta get back up on it and keep going. Y'all just like, nah, I'm just gonna sit here.
Or I mean, if you're a part of another generation, what does it feel like? How do you feel you dealt with rejection? You're a rejected millennial or a rejected baby boomer. We have a few of them watching. How
I
do you
mean,
feel about your life?
again, I think that's one of the things like we're in right now because we can all, like I said, the only difference is here is we're all dealing with it now, depending on where you are in life. If you're looking for a job,
Yeah,
you're getting that same rejection rate in the job market. If you're out here, regardless of your generation, still trying to find a mate, partner, spouse for whatever reason, you're dealing with the same things. I think it's just we're more apt to not let us, we're more apt to be able to, for lack of better words, after your pants get cut out from under you, pull them back up and strap up and go again. Versus y'all like, oh, my pants fell. I'm not doing nothing. Like we're more apt to be like, okay, yeah, it's rejection, part of the game. I understand it, and not take it as personal or become as limited in life as you guys. Because again, that differential. This is the world you have grown up in. Like
gotcha.
that's quite the statement to make. That in a week, in just dating apps, you will get more rejection than a boomer has had their entire adult
Entire
life.
life. It's
Wild,
crazy.
wild. But yes, good talking with you, brother. Y and Z conversation between the generations. Like, share, subscribe. Again, the link to the article is in the bio. It's a
It's a good
good one.
one. It's a
It
good one.
jumped out. I was like, yo. But I also think it's kind of crazy as we move on and y'all get older, and we eventually gonna stop caring about you because you're no longer young. Um, how much everything we said about y'all that y'all fought against is being proven true. I've yet to see anything that's like, nah, this wasn't true.
I agree.
You a good one.
The data is speaking.
You are a good. Oh, you should be a politician with a like that. Anywho, until next week, stay safe.
Peace out, y'all.
Peace out.